All right, let's dive right into this incredibly fascinating breakdown of reality. Have you ever stopped to think about the sheer processing power required just to render your morning cup of coffee? I mean, think about it. The swirling steam, the heat transfer, the literally billions of atomic interactions happening in a single second just in that one mug. Today we are treating the ultimate mysteries of existence not as some fluffy metaphysics, but as a massive, highly complex IT infrastructure. In this explainer, we're going to explore some wild, deeply entertaining thought experiments that frame our very universe as a literal system architecture.
You are asking me to perform a task that is fundamentally impossible. We are starting right at the absolute edge of human understanding today. We're stripping away all the religious terminology and mystical language to ask a deeply provocative, purely logical question. How does the system of our universe actually hold together? Think about the mind-boggling scale of it all. Tracking the real-time data of trillions of atoms, constantly rendering light, gravity, and mass for billions of conscious observers. If we look at reality as a computational system, how on earth does it handle all that data, energy, and processing without just completely crashing?
So here is our system diagnostics report for today. First, reality's operating system. Second, the afterlife cloud platform. Third, booting up the universe. Fourth, the processor paradox. And finally, the ultimate system glitch.
Let's initialize Section 1, Reality's Operating System.
If humans are individual observers who all share this massive multi-tenant environment, how does the overarching system maintain its integrity? To stop us, subjective observers, from corrupting reality, the underlying code has to use one of three brilliant methods. First up is the sandboxing protocol. Think of this as local containment. You have write access to your subjective life, sure, but it's completely restricted to a sandbox. Try to just float out of your chair right now, and the system throws a hard access denied error because you simply cannot break the laws of thermodynamics. Second, we have the deterministic override. Here, the universe's rules are hard-coded into the base layer. If a billion people suddenly hallucinated that the sky was neon green, the physics engine simply does not care. The primary script overrides them entirely. And third, the probabilistic consensus. This is a quantum model where reality acts a bit like a blockchain. A single observer trying to create a paradox is simply outvoted by the sheer mathematical weight of all the other entities in the system.
Moving right along to Section 2, the afterlife cloud platform.
Now this is where it gets really fun. We are looking at life after death purely as a persistent post-biological execution environment. No harps, no clouds, well, actually scratch that, maybe a literal cloud server. There are 4 architectural components required to migrate a consciousness to a highly resilient distributed cloud environment. First, you need an ingestion layer. Imagine your memories and personality being compressed and zipped up so they can upload without corrupting the data. Then you need a virtualized runtime engine, which simulates a persistent reality for all these parallel instances running at once. Third is an immutable kernel. This acts like a cosmic firewall, strictly enforcing the absolute laws of this new environment to prevent entropy and glitches. And finally, a persistence layer. Basically a decentralized ledger ensuring that if one sector goes down, your specific data file doesn't go down with it. There are no heavens or hells in this model, just this system, ensuring your data remains perfectly intact.
Which brings us to Section 3, booting up the universe.
You absolutely cannot have a sprawling IT infrastructure without a massive, reliable power source. And this brings up some of the most entertaining and brain-bending thought experiments about the very existence of energy itself. We all know the fundamental law of thermodynamics, right? Energy cannot be created or destroyed. But we also have entropy, the inevitable degradation of that energy. If energy can't be destroyed, why does everything eventually wind down and die? Well, think of it entirely in system terms. The universe isn't actually running out of energy. All the energy that ever existed is still here, but it is gathering way too much system noise to perform meaningful work. The underlying organization is degrading. It is exactly like buying a brand new laptop that over the years gets hopelessly bogged down by junk files, hidden background processes, and fragmented hard drives. Eventually, the system lag gets so incredibly bad that nothing functions. Heat death is essentially the universe hitting the ultimate blue screen of death, where no more processes can execute because the system is entirely overwhelmed by its own background noise. So if heat death is the system crashing, what exactly was the beginning? Instead of some magical origin point appearing out of nowhere, frame the Big Bang as the ultimate power-on sequence. Before the Big Bang, there wasn't just nothing, there was a system waiting for execution. When that first monumental power surge hit, it provided a massive burst of bandwidth and processing power.
The Big Bang wasn't creating energy from nothing. It was the initialization of the runtime environment. It's the exact moment the system booted up. Gravity, electromagnetism, the strong and weak nuclear forces, these weren't random occurrences. They were the fundamental logic gates coming online. The very first lines of code loading into the universe's RAM to ensure the simulation could actually run.
So what happens when our personal local processing unit, the human brain, finally powers down? When our biological hardware fails, we face a stark, profound choice between two outcomes. Either the local file is permanently deleted and your constituent atoms are just redistributed back into the chaotic noise of entropy, or your data is seamlessly migrated to a secondary server by a true background architect. We are either transient signals in a dying battery, destined for permanent deletion, or we are highly valuable data packets scheduled for a very, very complex server transfer.
Let's load up Section 4, the processor paradox. How can processes actually occur without a processor? This is the ultimate architectural paradox. You absolutely cannot have a computational process without a physical substrate. To transform any input into an output, you need energy and a physical medium. If you are playing a visually stunning video game, that game does not exist without a physical console sitting somewhere rendering those graphics. Without a logic gate or memory storage, you just have static. So where is our console physically located? What exactly is running the software of our reality? We have three phenomenal theories to try and answer this. Number one, hardware as universe. The universe itself is the physical processor. This means rocks, stars, and black holes are literally physical computations, and the laws of physics are the actual logic gates. Number two, substrate-independent information. This is pure digital physics, the idea that reality is just a matrix of pure math. Binary states of yes or no dictate reality, and the mathematical logic itself drives the machine without needing physical parts at all. Or, number three, an external orchestrator. This theory suggests we are being run as a virtual machine on a higher dimensional meta-server. It begs the incredibly fun and kind of spooky question, who is the IT guy running our server, and is he currently on his coffee break?
We are all running on something. The mystery is not the existence of the process, but the nature of the machine. I absolutely love how perfectly this captures the paradox. If you observe a processor must exist somewhere. The real question isn't whether we are being processed. Our very existence, our thoughts, our physics prove that we are for sure. The real mystery is what the actual machine looks like. Is it made of atoms? Is it made of pure math? Or is it something existing in a dimension we simply cannot perceive? And that leads us to our final stop, Section 5, the ultimate system glitch.
If every processor requires energy to manifest, and every process needs a container like a universe to run in, we hit a terrifying infinite regress. What powered the initialization of our universe? If there's a metaprocessor outside our universe running the simulation, what powered that server? A higher universe? Okay, well, what is powering that one? You walk down this dizzying staircase of causality until you eventually hit a boundary where linear cause and effect entirely break down. What was the command that executed the first line of code before a CPU even existed to interpret it?
To avoid a total system crash when thinking about this, physicists and philosophers are left with two uncomfortable logical deadlocks. First, the axiomatic assumption. In programming, you start with an axiom, a baseline rule assumed to be true without proof. It is the ultimate because I said so of physics. The initial energy in processor isn't become, they just are, a non-negotiable zero-point error. The second option is the self-bootstrapping loop. This suggests the universe is a nonlinear, multidimensional closed time loop. Through its own evolution, the ultimate end of the universe creates the exact information and energy required to trigger its own beginning. It is like a supercomputer writing its own origin code at the end of its life and sending it back in time to start itself. It literally pulled itself up by its own bootstraps.
We have reached the point where the script stops and linear logic completely fails us. The system diagnostics can go no further. Take a second right now to just look at your hands, look at the light in the room around you, the device you are watching this on. Realize that under this framework, it is all just compiled code executing perfectly in real time. But if the universe is just an execution of code, what exactly is waiting out there in the void when the execution finally finishes? What lies past the edge of the map? I highly recommend pondering that the next time you power down your computer. Keep questioning the system and keep exploring the architecture of our incredible reality.